morning. We're on day 16 of the Advent extravaganza, and tonight it's a little more embroidery, but I'm going to talk about some issues that you might run into when you are embroidering, especially when you're embroidering little things that you have difficulty getting a hoop around. So I'm down to off the old sheet, and I can show you the original sheet because I've only done one off this one. Here's how this kit came with these individual things. But when you start cutting these out and putting them together, if you're doing this like a regular Advent, which is do one, finish it, do one, finish it, you end up with pieces that are unattached. And you can't fit that into a hoop. They'd float loose. So how you solve this is you go to your scrap fabric bin, and it can be anything. I happen to have some muslin left over from my Santa dress. And you cut out a piece big enough to go in your hoop. And then you baste around your smaller piece to hold it in place. Now, when I'm done with this, I could go in and I could cut away this back right now so that I'm only embroidering on the front. But there's no point. I'm just going to stuff this thing. So I'm going to embroider through both layers. But when I'm finished, what I'll do is trim this away and then trim it away, and then this will now have a hole in it, but then it will be ready for the next piece, and I can just baste it on. And basting, I mean, I'm talking big stitches here. See if you can see that. See? I used like just some short little scraps of thread, but I did big running stitches, wrapped it around the horse, and then now I'm going to show you two new stitches that I used on the horse. Okay. So I've turned you down to look at this. We're doing this medallion. We're stitching radiating, somewhat satin stitchy out to make a star. And on one of our previous projects, we did that with this star, only we gauged it long and short and long and short and long and short. This one, we're just going to put them fairly close together and work our way out into as close to a round circle as the star allows, because these are squished. Around and around and around. And because this is hunched under the saddle, it's not going to go all the way. I'm going to have a couple of short ones here. Right there. And then I'm going to put one more up at the top to fit in. Right up here. And then, to carry on with this sort of sequin look, I'm going to add a bead. A red bead, just because the horse is red. So I'm going to add a little bead to this. There's my bead. I'm going to come up again through the center. Go through the center. I have to be careful here. I don't want to send that bead flying. Put my bead on, slide it down, and back down through that center. There. And that matches the other two right here. Right there. And I have a second one to do the radiating stitches on. This one at least is round. So these ones will be fairly even dispersed throughout. I don't know, like 8 spokes on a tire. Something like that. And you can put them as close together or as far apart as you want. But that's pretty much the theme on this horse, is spokes. We also put some spokes up on the back of his back. But those are more like a scalloped shell shape. Go, and then back up, and our second bead Second bead, and back down. There we go. The horse has his full regalia of beads. On his face, I just did an outline stitch around his saddle and connected to his bridle. I did an outline stitch in the gold, and then I did a chain stitch in the yellow. And then finally, I'm going to sneak this up through the back and go up and do his saddle. So up into here, and it will be a scallop stitch. So right up in this one, we'll do a scallop stitch. And I know to match this blue, it's made it harder for you to see, but. And this one, all I do is pick a point about midway along the saddle and then create these stitches radiating with gaps longer at the bottom and right up next to each other at the top. And that's how I get the scallop shell effect. And I try not to go through exactly the same hole, but very near in proximity up at the top of the saddle. And then, I don't know, about a 1/16 of an inch apart at the bottom of the saddle. Something like that. And some of these scallops have been closer together than others. But that's fine. There. Done. All right, his saddle is done. I did the star. We've done his bridle. And then I'm going to show you the back of this. And how to cut this. There. Nope, did I not? Oh, my scissors dropped to the floor. There's my scissors. All right, scissors. Clip that stitch. Put that down. Now, we've got our basted backing. We've embroidered through it. I'm going to pull out the basting stitches, and this is the reason why doing them loose is a good thing. Try to get this in the screen. Doing them loose for you is a good thing because I can just pull out the basting stitches. And this one will probably have to back out. It's a little longer, so it won't be as easy to pull. Just loosen those up, pull them out, grab the knot that's visible in the front, pull them out. Now I'm going to take this out of the hoop, and look, I have, whoops, all right, we're going to put our hoop on the floor. I have, it's attached where I stitched it. And all I need to do is to take my scissors and just very gently cut around where I've stitched. It's going to leave a hole in the center of my work, but it will work fine. There. See, I've got a little bit of muslin there, but that's fine. I can stuff that into my ornament. So we'll stuff this, and I'll show you show it to you on the all right, I'm going to do a stretch here to get my hoop. I want to fly it. There's my hoop. All right, the other thing I was going to show you is the stitch that I talked about yesterday, kind of a basket weave satin stitch. And I just, off on the side here on this muslin, I sketched just a little grid right there. And I'm going to take what's left of, oh goodness. You know how I said that all my greenery's starting to fall? I keep bumping my little vase here. The needles go everywhere. It's probably time to swap it out. Get some other greenery. All right, I'm going to get this navy blue that should show up really well for you. And we are going to just do some practice embroidery on this hoop. Now the first round that we're going to do is very long satin stitches to make a grid. And if I were going to fill this up, I just sketched this without measuring or anything. If I were going to do this on a design, I would probably measure it, or I would base it on its shape and its position in the project. All right. There's the first round of stitches. Just very long stitches. Now I'm going to do the cross hatching, but I'm going to go over and under the grid. So I went over the first line, under the second line, and anchored at the end of the square. And then I'm going to go up to the next one and go. The last thing I did was go under this one. So I'm going to go under that one, over, under, over, under, and I'm going to anchor that at the end of the row. And then I'm going to go up to the next one. And the last one that I did was under, so this one will go over, under, and I'm weaving. That's all I'm doing is weaving. Over, under, and down in the end. And then I'm going to go across. And the last thing I did was go under, so this one's over, under, over, under, over, under, and off. Now we're starting to shrink again, so this is going to take a little more brain power. I was over that stitch, so this one goes under, over, under, and then over at the very end. And I'm going to anchor that right up there. And then the next one should go over as well. Nope, let me get you. The next one should go over as well. Sorry about that. I was looking at my embroidery and not at you. There we go, over and under. And I have just done a basket weave. And I'm going to show you. So there's the basket weave. And these are woven over, under, and alternating, even though they're spaced out. And that's a good enough stitch. That is a stitch you can do. In addition to that, though, I can add an embellishment by going up at where each of these basket weaves crossed. I can put another X in, or I can, let me go a little further, or I can come out right at the join here, and I can go around and do a little, like a figure 8 around the join, like this. And then I can go to the next one and do the same. Come out at where the figure crosses, do a loop around the thread, and then a loop around it on the other side to kind of drawing that in like a figure 8. And then I can go down to the next one and do the same thing. Go around the cross stitch, and then over to the other side and around the stitch and down, and then go to the next one and go around and then under and then around and then to the next one. There. And what this does is it anchors it down and connects that join, and then down. Oops, caught a little bit of the next one. Gonna have to tear that last loop out. There. there you go. So see, I have little, let's tighten this up for you. This muslin's a little slipperier for this binding. So I have little anchored knots here, or down here it's just loose. And you can pick which one you want based on the size and based on the amount of thread that you've got. But give it a try, it's fun. It's a fun little stitch. And you could fill, I could envision this on like a great big basket design. You could fill that space, all kinds of things. But it's a fun little stitch. All right, I'm gonna sew our little horse up. And oh, speaking of which, this is what remains. We have one, we have two. Let's put the bunny up straight. We have two, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 motifs left after this. So that's how far we are in on our little advent calendar. I'm going to go off screen now and I'll be back. Oh, look, my rash is still bad. I'm going to go off screen now and I'll be back in a few minutes and show you the finished product. All right, I'm back in my comfy chair, ready to watch some TV, but I just included a little sort of slow slideshow of what I've gotten up to today and this week. So I show you the pile of dyed items, especially the purple, which is today's dried and ready to go selection. I put together some kits today for a wholesale order going to Seattle, and it was kind of fun actually because I got to pair yarns together. And then a couple customers, and then I drove and did some deliveries, and I think that's all you're gonna see. That's all I recall. Anyway, again, as always, make sure and like us, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. That way you will not miss any of the episodes. I'm doing them every day now, but soon we'll go back to twice a week, and you don't want to miss out. Bye.